Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial where we're going to be talking about getting started with Oracle VirtualBox and Ubuntu Server. My name is Samuel Sandy, and in this tutorial we're going to be covering how to get started with Oracle VirtualBox, how to run Ubuntu Server Virtual Machine, and how to navigate server command line environment. Before we begin, I want us to just understand that there are different virtualization tools that we can use, and several platforms which are available today. The most commonly used platforms include the Oracle VirtualBox. There is a Oracle VirtualBox looks something like this. After installation, there is VMware Workstation, which you have been using throughout the entire study sessions. This is what you've been using with Ubuntu 24 and with a different terminal. There's Microsoft Hyper-V. Hypervisor looks like this, where you're also able to create virtual machines. And the most common on the Unix operating system is the KVM that is available. So all these tools that I've mentioned, they have different names, but they have the same fundamental purpose. They just simply allow you to run one or more virtual computers inside one physical host machine. Where you can see here in my VMware, I have different operating systems installed, and I'm able to run this on top of my Windows 11 operating system. So here, each virtual machine gets its own allocated CPU, RAM. For example, if I click on this Kali Linux operating system, and perhaps maybe I go to its settings or manage it, I am able to update the settings, give it its own resources that are available. And we went through that, so I don't want this tutorial to majorly focus on that, but I thought it's important for me to give you a preamble of what that means basically. So you are able to, through virtualization, to allocate resources. And these resources like RAM, CPU, and network infrastructure, so that you create a completely isolated environment from your host operating system, in this case, my Windows 11, and the other virtual machines which are running alongside the virtual machine that I've created. The difference usually between these tools I've mentioned, like Oracle, VirtualBox, VMware, is mainly the interfaces, or sometimes some of them are for licensing, because Hyper-V for Microsoft, you can't use it unless if you have a Microsoft license on your Windows operating system. VirtualBox is completely free. VMware Workstation Pro is now free, open source, but before you had to have a license for it. So it is a VMware is a commercial product with sometimes a polished graphical user interface. Oracle is completely free, developed by Oracle, hypervisor by Microsoft, and basically these are the different virtualization tools available. So from the perspective of server administration, specifically now web server administration, the virtualization platform is irrelevant because the operating system running inside that virtual machine behaves identically regardless of the hypervisor that is hosting that virtual machine. In this case, what I'm trying to say is that if we start Ubuntu in VirtualBox, or we start it in VMware, or we start it in a hypervisor, you still get the same operating system, and you still have the same interface, you still have the same commands and everything that you need to run that operating system. And now Ubuntu server running inside the VirtualBox will respond to the same commands, configurations, and everything are the same that is running in VMware or hypervisor. So the skill that matters here is for you to know, how do I manage this server that is running, not rather the virtualization platform that is created. Though it's also important for you to know how to sometimes create a virtual machine in some of these things, but the process is the same. As long as you have understood one, you can easily run through the other. Now, there are different Unix variants and versions. As you saw, there is Kali Linux, there's Ubuntu Desktop, there's Ubuntu Server. And in our course, you use the partly Ubuntu Desktop, which had a graphical user interface, but also in your coursework to take on part one, you used Ubuntu Server, which did not have a graphical user interface and you only had the terminal. So it's important for you to understand that there's some difference between Ubuntu Desktop and Ubuntu Server. Ubuntu Desktop includes all the graphical user interfaces. Like you saw, you had the desktop environment, applications, browser, file manager, mouse-driven interface. It is designed usually for end users, not for system administrators like you, not for web admins like you. Whereas Ubuntu Server, on the other hand, has none of that. It boots directly into the command line interface, and there is no desktop, there are no icons, there are no graphical applications. It is purely designed to be lightweight and efficient so that it can run more, or it can only focus on running services that are needed for servers to perform their tasks. This is the standard for production servers. Any server you look at, most production servers, they use this standard, and that's why we're also bringing it. That's why we are assessing it. That's why it covers partly what we want to achieve at the end of the day. So system administrators uh, will manage. Let me just go ahead and power on my virtual machine as we continue. So system administrators manage these remote servers exclusively. So now when you open VirtualBox, it will look like this. On the start menu, you have the applications that you need. You can come to the start menu if it has not yet opened. Let me first minimize this. Come to the start menu, search for VirtualBox, and then you'll find an application like this. Tap on it, and then it will open, and then you have this interface that I was showing you. Once that interface is up, you'll see the list of available virtual machines to the left panel. These are the available virtual machines. And in this interface, you can click on the machine you want to start, and then you come and click on the start button. So to start it, simply just click on start the virtual machine, and then all right click here and click on start. Mine is already starting, that is why it is not there. And then the series of event will boot up. So a new window will pop up, which window looks like this, which is having now the Oracle virtual machine. So you can always put this away so that you concentrate on your screen. So a new window will show up with the virtual machine displaying the output. It will go through the boot sequence. A series of boot messages will display on the screen. This is a Linux kernel, the system services initiating. And at this point, really, there's no input which is required from you. Now, once it is done booting and it has completed the boot sequence, you will see a login prompt at this particular point. For example, here, you will see now it is asking me to log in. As we discussed in class, usually the password for us to log in, the one that we have been using, is just WSA, web server admin, is the username, and the password is also WSA. So you put them in, enter. As long as you have provided the correct result, then it's going to show you that you have logged in, and it's going to be pointing to your directory. So just put in the username, just put in the password, and then you will be there. Now, note that here, as you're typing the password, it does not display the characters, and you have been seeing this all the time. And so as you're putting them there, just put them there straight, and then you hit enter. You'll be there, and you'll see something like a successful authentication, which is like the way it is displaying on my screen. So from here, going further, you will be required to do different things, and here you can be able to pass on different commands that you want. You can, for example, if I wanted to see the working directory where I'm in, print working directory, I'm in the home directory, and the user is WSA. I can also go ahead and give any Linux command that is available. For example, if I want to view all the files in here and their permissions, or if I want to change directory to, let's say, if at all I am assuming Apache is installed, so I can go ahead and navigate to that. But since it's not installed, it's telling me that is not available. If I want to navigate to the home directory, and these things you know already, but I'm just showing you that this is the terminal, and this is how you go ahead and put everything. So in case I wanted, for example, to install, let's say Apache, I'll go ahead and give the commands. in that regard, and then it installs. But however, during the exam, you will be required to run a script, and all you need to do is you just do a sudo, and then you say bash, and then you start exam.sh. So you run that script for exam.sh, and once you run it, to ask you for the password. The password is WSA, and it will ask for the full name. In this regard, you just go ahead and put in the full name. I'm assuming this is Sandy Samuel, and then the registration number, as usual, you put it in. And sometimes it will even ask you for the shift. So whatever information it is asking you for, please go ahead and provide it, as you'll be guided and instructed during the exam. So you go ahead, and the exam session will start. Everything will be recorded in the terminal, and then you'll be good to go. So you can start listing any commands that you want. If you type it incorrectly, it will show. If you want to create a file, if you want to install, that is extremely up to you. Maybe you want to check and see if Apache is running. Maybe we check for the status of Apache 2, and then be sure you type your commands correctly. If you have not typed in correctly, you'll be able to see the response. But basically, that is what you require. You have the terminal, you can do whatever and anything you want to do in this terminal, depending on what you need to achieve in that regard. So it is purely up to you. It is purely for you to remember what was examined during class. Remember what was taught during class, what was examined throughout the entire semester, the different continuous assessments that were given to you. But as a team, we thought it important that we remind you of how to start the different virtualization platforms, and in this case, it is Oracle VirtualBox that is going to be used from this point all the way up to the end of the semester. So we wanted to share it with you so that you know it. You look at the tool, compare it with VMware and other virtualization tools that are available, and you get familiar and comfortable with using the tool. It is also important to note that please do not shut down during any assessment. Do not shut down the machine. Do not power it off. Do not exit. As long as you started working, just ensure that you keep working. You don't exit until when you're done with your assessment. You leave everything open. The invigilators will always give you more details and more commands. That is it from us, and we want to wish you the very best. Look at all the course outline, look at all the content which was taught to you, and pay attention to the different aspects that we focused on during the semester. So that is it. This is a tutorial on how to use VirtualBox and how to compare it with other virtualization platforms. Thank you and have a good time.